Hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Ardent, the show that definitely still exists, even though
it is actually the best show.
We've lost a person, we've lost a few weeks, we've lost a week or here and there.
Yeah, but it's just like the crew of not the Magpie. They trundle on no matter what, despite all adversity.
I won't say it's the best show, but it certainly shows that people that I love hanging out with.
It's in the top one that I'm part of.
I have to say that the best show takes place on Sunday nights, going live at I think 7 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/olirant. Because
you just like Tesh. You just really enjoy Tesh.
No, I
That's
actually
a serious man crush on that.
I think that party blend is fucking awesome.
It's really good. I was really glad to get Aaron in that game.
Yeah,
that made me very happy.
It is so good. Like I'm not crapping on this crew here. Like you people are fun to play with or whatever. But like that party blend is like
that was crapping. That's crap right there. That's
so
what crap
Nick, let's say we both like throw Scott's character out of an airlock.
hey, no Kyling me.
Oi. That's too far. That's too far of a crossover.
All right. Yeah, sorry.
So, whatever, we're good. I'm not even gonna ask. We're fine. How are you, chat?
Hungry.
You're not chat. You hungry? Oh yeah, you said you haven't got your food yet.
I bet chat is hungry though.
Most of our chat is always hungry from historical records. The records say. Alright, so, Ardent. Without any further ado, why don't I explain what's been going on in the last few sessions, how that affects the game right now. What you did last session, more or less, is took captive a member of Excalibur and interrogated him to great lengths to find out that, yes, on the planet of, looking at map, the Ballista, the ocean planet in the Pike system, there is definitely an underwater base that Excalibur, a terrorist group, are using as their main base. That's where Excalibur, the individual, exists. Because remember, Excalibur is a group named after the leader. You also found out a bit more about what's going on there, including that the person in charge of defending it is a man named Montaigne, and that there is a psychic by the name of Sabrina, who actually was one of the people with Rain when she was experimented on. Now, that's basically what happened last week as far as that's the core thing, is you got all that information, you interrogated this dude, you got so much information. Oh, and the other very, very important thing is that you know that the big one, this nebulous Excalibur event that you are worried about, has something to do with the president of Novus. Novus as a idea, as a sort of conglomerate of systems, has a president, and it's got something to do with it. You don't know what yet. This guy, the guy you had, doesn't know much because he's just a regular idiot. Most of the information he managed to give you was tangential, and then you could piece it together with stuff you already had. And one of the whole things of you managing to get this interrogation was Davis using his administer skills, which actually have come up quite often in this campaign, so don't give shit to administer, to get him a place in a Novus prison that's away, a small one away from everyone. It's not a Pike prison where he might get attacked by other members of Excalibur for ratting people out. And that's actually where this episode begins, with the end of that entire process. You went off to Corvu, which is in the Novus system, which you are in. It is the a mining station on their asteroid belt, where all the asteroid miners, they all join up there, they all do other things. It's ended up becoming, because it's just the central place, it's the central system of their society, so it's a big station. It started off as a small one, it's big, it's shipwrights, it's got places for space, it's a spacey place. It's actually where this campaign started, but you didn't do much here aside from drink. You managed to find Axel, the Excalibur terrorist that you were interrogating, a place in the prison here, because you knew the guy who didn't run it, but was high enough up to be able to, you could shuffle papers around in the right place to get him a place. And that, after more or less a day, maybe 2 of you doing that, Davis, that's where the campaign starts. Axel is safely behind bars, literally safely in a place where he won't get killed. You got all the information out of him, and you held up your end of the bargain, which you didn't need to do, but kind of does cement kind of good people that you guys actually are. And as Davis steps back onto the ship, docked quite nicely in a nice Novus run mining station where things are, okay, it's a mining station. It's still not clean, but at least it's the kind of place that you're used to, Davis. What is the plan of action?
So we've got that all taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately what I want to do is call the whole crew to speak.
Go in the meeting room,
yep,
around the
NPCs
table.
included.
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine people don't come immediately. Like, they kind of filter in as they finish up whatever tasks they're doing, whether it be like getting ready to take off or whatever, right? So, probably having like a little side chatter with Rain, checking on her, like in a not so obvious way, like, oh, how have you been?
If there's a couple of minutes before everyone else comes in, because Rain's probably first, she'll be like, boss, I thought about what you said about who I should tell and who I shouldn't, deciding who I should tell about what I am,
I nod to you as like the door opens up and somebody else comes in.
And then I go quiet. I go quiet. I'm like, I'll talk to you about it after.
I'll look up, and whoever it is, I'll give them some innocuous task, like, where's such and such? Get their ass in here.
Yeah. And then they leave again. The door closes.
So I figure I should tell Prav. He's ground team probably, and I mean, I'm not. It's not that I don't trust the other two, Henrique, and those two, but they're part of a big group. Who knows whether where they'll go after this? If they take back what I am to them, to that group, maybe that group comes after me. So hold off on that. But I should tell Prav because he's ground team. But the thing I'm slightly worried about, he seems not to believe people like me exist, So I don't know really how he'll react. So I'd really like it if you could be there with me when I tell him.
I completely understand the scenario, Rain. I'd be more than happy to assist you. So I will be the distraction while you pull the prank.
Rain is like slightly surprised to hear that sort of effectively a joke out of his mouth. His laugh like, yeah. Let's put it like that.
And he was obviously joking, but
yeah.
he gives you like he's not the kind of person that really, unless in extreme scenarios, is going to be physical. Like, he's not the kind of person that touches you to make you feel better. So he gives you, like a nice nod. The feelings there, and everybody filters in, right?
It's Davis is in a nice, good mood because he spent 2 days doing a lot of paperwork. He's feeling real good.
And we succeeded at our task.
Yeah.
Like, we were actually successful and nobody died. Oh, nobody that mattered.
Yeah.
Hey-o!
People died. So the whole crew comes together. They're not the sort of people who ask what's going on. Probably the only person who asks what's going on is Anna, who is just, she's got things to. She doesn't have anything to do, but she acts like she has things to do. She's probably just gonna watch Space Flicks. Yeah.
Space Flicks.
The whole cruise comes together.
So,
yeah.
So when we get together, I'll at this point in time, to start the meeting, like, I'll press whatever button or command or whatever it is that throws up the information that we've gathered so far on like the various displays around.
Yeah, you have your actual like meeting room in this ship actually has hologram displays because it's state of the art.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So it like throws up all that awesome cool stuff. It shows the details, and I'd be like, so we've all been gathering the intel, and whether if you've heard it directly from myself or if you've heard it talked in the halls since we've discovered the information we have, we know what needs to be done. We need to discover that base on Ballista, and we need to destroy it. Or, at the very least, send a crippling blow that's going to impede their plans. Those plans being, and this is when you'll see like the president of Novus will appear. The assassination of President, I'm gonna call her Philomena Flunderbuss.
His name is, and this is a type in chat situation.
No. You say it.
Oh, no, I can say it. Is Madhav Malik.
And then
but,
we all have to guess.
But you aren't going
Yeah.
to be able to spell Madhav
Come on,
Malik.
tell us.
And then
tell
the
us. We can
person
all
who's
have a crack.
closest gets advantage of the
Madhav
next roll.
Malik.
Right,
So
Mad-
everybody write it in roll 20 chat, but don't press enter until we're all done. What is it?
Madhav Malik.
Madhav.
And when we're done with this little game,
One word or two?
you tell me.
Okay.
Oh man, Neil went full Yavaskir with that spelling. That
That's funny.
Scott got it.
Oh!
The only time this will ever happen.
Oh, sweet. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I was second.
Scott, feel free to give me a no check about just in general the president.
That
You
makes
know.
me happy.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good job, man.
You wanna counteract that happiness, Scott? Look at who typed that in before you.
You spelled it wrong. So you're welcome.
So, Madhav Malik is the president of Novus.
Oh, that's fucked up. Oh, you're a mean boy.
Took a bit of time. You may actually know. You may have already met him because he was a very important part of the Navy before he became the president, and he actually was a pilot of one of the lead battle cruisers named the Determination. Of course, big battle cruisers like that, they don't have just one pilot, kind of similar to the first season of Mass Effect, where they have like a group of them. But he's a Navy guy. On top of that, the reason why he's like the president right now, Navy support and the Merchant Guild support. He's a big, works with the Merchants Guild a lot, making an awful lot of money.
You got the money, mate.
Got the money. And hasn't really ever, doesn't go out and do a bunch of things off the planet of Novus, usually. Now.
Okay. So, the fact that he's rather, and I think you told us that before, that he's rather a secluded person, kind of sticks to his
Not secluded, but like I guess on this, like on the scale of a multi-system, government.
Yeah.
He doesn't really ever leave this system.
He's not Lucky Never Slevin secluded. He's just kind of keeps to where places are easily secured and can't be hit in transit and whatnot. Yeah. So I press the button, pull it up, and I say Novus Presidents Madhav Malik. So we're here to discuss our course of action. We're here to discuss what we believe is the best way as a group to stop this assassination attempt. There are a few avenues to go down. I'm going to present a couple, and if you have others, please feel free to come forward. This is an at-ease open forum, so please drop all, pretense of... And then he looks over towards Anna and says, well, keep it civil. And then looks back to the rest of the group and will be like, one of the options we have is to go straight for Ballista and play the offensive game. Strike them hard, take them out, see if we can just stop everything from transpiring, because they just don't exist anymore. There's a little bit of intel about people's inside there. We'll get into that as we go through this a little bit more. The other option is to make our way straight to Novus. While I'm no admiral, I certainly do have rank and many connections within Novus. I can get word to the president, and it will be a word that won't be just laughed at or completely scoffed. Doesn't mean they'll necessarily take heed, but they will at least consider the words that are delivered. Potentially we can be put on the defensive side of things. So that all being said, which direction do we want to go? Offensive, defensive, or do you have more? And with that, I'll actually sit down.
Sitting down.
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
He won't even
Attention,
hear the
Fox.
crew's
I got
opinion.
food outside.
Go get your food.
So Rain will actually speak up. I don't really know if I like going on the attack as such, but the other thing we've got to think about is that for some of us, we still got bounties on our heads. I guess they were put out by Excalibur. So I don't know how these things work in the underworld, but I figure if we take out Excalibur, maybe that bounty goes away.
Anna nods and says, an organization like that, when they're gone, there's not going to be any money to pay anyone with, even if there's enough splinters around. If you take out their head base, however they're funding this operation, and honestly, considering the quality of the idiots we've seen most of the time, they're probably not funding it much.
Prison. You froze for like the second half of that sentence.
Yeah, she basically said that would work. to simplify, said that would work because they don't seem to have any big source of funding or anything. So if you just destroy their base, you know, even if there's some Excalibur left, destroying their base would probably destroy any and all income streams. So if there's like little splinter groups, like the Empire always does in good old Star Wars, you know, they ain't gonna be able to do much.
So yeah, though attacking them would be hard, at least it gets them off our back and we don't have to live in the run, you know?
Anna nods and does like swoosh something to the screen and says, "But I talked with the captain at one point about the idea of going to Ballista and acquiring a submersible vessel and trying to find that place. I mean, this ship has fine scanners, but trying to scan an underwater structure is nearly impossible."
I'll tell you about underwater structures. Doxy bought me lunch because Doxy loves me, and she's amazing. But part of the lunch she got me curly fries.
Ooh!
Yeah, I love a good curly fry.
Everybody loves curly fries. Like, if you don't like
They're
curly
just
fries,
a straight upgrade to fries. That's the thing.
yeah, exactly. Like, if you don't like curly fries, you're a monstrous person, and you should.
Fries.
I don't think I could have curly fries every time, though, is the counter.
No.
No, they're a treat.
Yeah,
They're a treat.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Like, if you eat chocolate every day, why are you like chocolate loses its value?
No, it doesn't. Fact source me.
I'm gonna go check on my food.
Yeah, you get your food too now.
While
Basically,
we
Scott.
basically try and continue this conversation.
Basically, Scott, she brought up the point. Rain is on team attack because you have bounties on your heads.
Yeah, she's reluctantly team attack, basically.
The others are kind of going through their things. Henrique actually has on his tablet and brings up a point that if we knew more about the actual assassination attempt, we could formulate a more specific plan, and that could either go with going to Novus or going to Pike. Knowing that there's going to be an assassination is great, and that means we also need to know where the president is, and I'm going to assume that that's not public information.
That would require a little bit of effort.
More.
At least this meeting has pizza, which would be a good meeting.
So
Go ahead,
I do chime in saying, I'll be up front. I err towards the side of offensive as well. I err that way because I think that it would be a lot of bureaucracy to even try to get our message across. And by the time it gets there, it could be too late. And if it is too late and we happen to know the information, then we could be seen as targets as opposed to those that we're trying to aid. Because when heads fall, people scramble. The underlings scramble to find out how and why and who and to point blame at something, right? But, and this is my concern of being offensive, what if we attack and we take that route and we don't hit the right targets or deliver strong enough of a blow? What if all we do is start a war?
Anna kind of like exhales, like.
You have to understand, if a Ballista base, which, despite our opinions of Ballista, are a legitimate and government-backed branch of the Pike military, suffers an attack and then an assassination attempt is made against the president, who struck first?
But
And why?
this ship is a Pike ship, ain't it?
Anna nods, and Zaz says that's why we probably aren't going to be able to go very bureaucratic, because even if Davis is part of the Novus military, he's publicly a captain.
A Trojan horse.
If this ship is Pike, then if we go in there and mess up, they ain't gonna be able to blame it on Nova, surely.
They most certainly could. It's a Trojan horse, but all they would need is any facial scan of any one of us and our ties to each other and our pasts to find out who sat in that.
Yeah, I guess if they found out you were on the ship, then Nova's
Not just me.
Well, I mean, you in particular. I mean, it ain't like I've been in the Novus military.
No, but you have ties with those that have.
Yeah, true enough.
Honestly, the one that is most likely the safest for not coming back to Novus. And he looks over to the guy whose name he can never remember because it says Neil on the bottom of the
Prov.
20. Prov.
He's trying
He's
to make
a little
you learn.
monster. I'm a change this now.
So I look over. I'm like, this is Neil.
The other thing is, if we want to go defensive, and as Henry says, we need more info to give them on this attempt to press his life. Then we're probably gonna have to hit an Excalibur group anyway, ain't we? To get information on the attempt. So we're gonna have to hit, maybe not as big as the big base, but something pretty big anyway.
It's actually Mirio who speaks up, who is the crew member who does nothing but like chew gum and listen. Oh no, they're frozen in time. My internet is actual garbage right now. My internet is I'm gonna check Steam. It might be downloading an update to fucking like PUBG or some shit.
I enjoyed that a lot because it came back and you were like, oh no, they're frozen in time.
I don't know what I can do to fix this. We're dropping frames.
If everyone else is frozen, guess whose fault it is?
No, I know it's my fault, you bitch ass. I just don't know how to fix it. Come on, man. All right. But she says, I don't know if any of you have done an assassination before, but you usually try to either follow a routine or you either learn their routine, figure out exactly what they're going to do and where they're going to be on a normal schedule, and you act on that, or you wait until they're doing something out of their routine, where they're much easier to hit.
There are certain triggers, certain standardized military protocols, and I can certainly parse through the information that I have access to. If event A takes place, reaction X or Y takes place, and so it could be something like that where they're looking to do a terrorist act that triggers some sort of, puts them into harm's way when they otherwise were safe. It's trying to take them from harm's way. Sure, that could be the case. Or there could be an insider that literally makes his tea for him daily. We don't know, and trying to understand that scope, I think, would be a little difficult. We'd have to get straight to the inside. This is the reason why I ear towards the attack. So the attack has a lot of caveats.
And I just
How do you
says,
feel?
we got
Okay.
a fast ship. We might be able to strike them before they can do anything further. Looks like they're not. Sounds like they're just talking about a thing and maybe haven't organized it.
You don't talk about a thing like this unless you had pieces in play a long time ago. He turns to Prav and says, how are you feeling?
I've not got me any special love for the Novus president. So, the way I see it, if we attack, we're gonna kill some bad guys. And if the president dies anyway, who gives a shit?
I get a little ruffle-feathered at that.
But luckily, you're both eating, so there's not much you can do.
It's
unless
like
you start
we're
a food fight.
pacified.
Yeah.
It's like if I wasn't cracking open this pistachio right
There's
now.
no hanger there.
Scott, do you have curly fries, pizza, and nachos?
No. It's curly fries and pizza.
Okay, I thought that was a nacho.
No, this is pizza folded in half.
Ah!
Well, why you fold it?
No, you don't fold pizza.
How else do you eat it?
I actually eat my pizza with a knife and fork.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But I went and got it and came running back to the like.
I know that's more controversial.
No. Like I have a lot of like
take out pizza. That I eat with my hands.
Yeah.
Okay,
and you don't
okay.
fold it.
You don't fold it. You just eat slice face.
my proper portion of my family, my stepdad's family, they eat pizza, even like Domino's with a knife and fork.
Yeah, no.
You know,
There's a level if it depending on how greasy the pizza is. There's a level of there's a chart.
Yeah.
But I ran back to the microphone, so everybody could hear me chew.
Stop that.
He said my family even eat Domino's with a knife and fork, and I heard like what's the alien, and I was just like, whoa, that blew my mind.
I just hope that Domino's doesn't. I hope they don't eat Domino's. I would think lesser of them if they did.
I bet they do.
But let's continue on. So you say you don't lean one way. So my feathers get a little bit ruffled. when you talk about your love for it. And I look to you and I say, while you may not have any love for the man, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to wish death upon him, or the suffering to his family, to his friends, or the entire interstellar nation that would be negatively impacted by such a thing, or potentially the war that would break out afterwards, and the thousands, if not millions, if not billions of lives that are lost because the war pushes on even further. So, measure your responses. Just a little bit of... And it's funny because I'm saying, from what I said before, measure your responses with just a little bit of wisdom.
Prov doesn't say anything, he just flicks you a finger.
Fine with
And
that.
I was just like, I think he was on team offense.
It's like when a child slams the door and you punish them to their room. You're like, sure, you slammed your door, but you're still in your fucking room.
Yeah.
So,
More or less, the crew is team offense.
Yep, he nods, takes it in. Does anybody, is anybody team defense whatsoever?
The
And if so, what are their
others
arguments?
just pointed out ways if you wanted to do it, how it would be done. The Masalos, Henrique and Miria are kind of like on the fence, and they would maybe more towards defense, and that's why they point out like, well, you know...
Yeah, but they're also not the ones with bounties on their heads.
They also don't have bounties on their heads. They're also, you know, they actually are Pike military, so... Like,
They're Pike born, yeah.
yeah, like... So that's just kind of what they point out. But they're also totally fine with going. They would not... They would not...
So okay, yeah, no, I get it. Cool. Sorry, I just thought about for a second. So, yeah, then once that's kind of over, I'll just at this point in time I'll stand up, so like make sure I get attention on me and be like, so I think we've come to our conclusion. Unless we have, unless things go completely awry, the plan is offense. We're going to be heading to the Excalibur base on Ballista and attempting to take them out at the source.
Everyone nods. And Anna actually even starts like doing a plan on her tablet.
Yep, I was going to say then let's start drafting up how it is we can go about this. Here's what we know of that base so far and the personnel inside of it. A much less filled screen.
Yeah. It's all hearsay.
We know its location in general, but not its exact coordinates, I believe.
You just know it's underwater. Like that's literally all you know, and it is an ocean planet. It does have islands, but it's an ocean planet.
So instead, it's a scan of the planet that would be public record. Because obviously scanning a planet is super easy in the future, and so it's like literally a map of the planet's like underwater sources.
Like its regions and stuff.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Exactly. And it's on a 3D spinning version as well as like a 2D flat out version.
Oh, that's good. Good idea.
Yeah. And then it's like the different personnel that's in there, but then also any plans that we have. Once again, public information. Obviously, a lot of the stuff's military, so most of it's gonna be private anyways. But any public information of Pike military-based designs that have existed before, and because Novus is the more advanced technological group, and we have more access to that kind of stuff. This is technically a Pike military ship, so maybe. But also, if they have any form of military base that is subaquatic on either side, Any designs of that might stand up? Okay.
Also remember that the Excalibur base isn't a Pike military base.
No, I know.
Yeah,
But it is an extremist organization that.
Yeah, exactly. I just because you sort of mentioned that twice, I just wanted to make sure you knew.
Yep.
So it's like you brought this up when it first came up. People very rarely build underwater because it's just harder to do for very little. The only reason to do it is privacy. So if it is or has been done, it would be much more you wouldn't know about it. Now there are a lot of like there are absolutely like, you know, you could look up building companies and they'd be like prefabs of how they would do it. It is a thing that has been done, but mostly more for commercial or tourist reasons.
That was my next point. Was like aquariums and businesses and stuff like that. That was the next thing I was going to say. Like pull up designs of that, because even though they're not going to be the same, it gives us a general idea of like the structure.
Technology, yeah.
And we do have
so
people
that's
here that
actually
explosions.
very easy public knowledge, especially considering you have like administer and know. You don't have to do anything. Most of the settlements on Ballista are above ground, but there are some bits that are underwater, and you can kind of bring up that information and stuff. And obviously, any underground and any underwater settlement is designed with just a level of toughness that it has to be below a lot of pressure. So either it has a lot of resources put in, or more often is like built into a underwater underground structure, like a sea cave, or often by heated trenches or something like that.
The firearms that we discharged, they're all not energy weapons. They're projectile, right?
Yeah, none of you even like have seen an energy weapon if they exist.
So,
Our ship's weapon.
No, in that it is energy. In this, it's essentially it just fires particles. It basically recycles things from the ship into being particulate.
the mag cannon.
Yeah, it's kind of like, because the way that it's kind of how the sand thrower is in the normal rules, but just because the level of attacks are different.
All right, so I say our goal here, and I believe we already know this, is 100% casualties. It doesn't matter their position, doesn't matter why they're on this base. 100% casualties. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, Rain. When she hears that, Rain has a very pained look on her face and does look slightly at Davis, but is obviously trying not to give anything away. So I don't know if Davis clocks that, but
so this is a measured statement. So he says 100% casualties. Now there is no way that we can do that without entering the facility. So what we're looking to do first is to catch them off guard, completely catch them off guard. We need to catch as many people outside of pressurized suits, without oxygen tanks, without any means to keep themselves safe or alive when we hit our devastating blow to start our assault. We need to flood every chamber and bring down the structure as best we can. The likelihood of it being on the sea floor, literally pressed on the floor, is slim. And even if it is pressed on the floor, it's likely even going to be raised by struts, pointing to like all the examples of things
exactly.
Like this. However, if it were to be completely filled with water, the sheer weight of the thing would cause those struts to crumble easily, or would send this thing careening to the seafloor, greatly increasing the chances of 100% casualties. We will then take our strike team and we'll go in there and room by room guarantee that the job is done completely. And that's when we'll start our salvage mission for getting any information that we can beyond just the death toll of 100. Sorry, the death toll of 100%.
That's good and all. I don't think it's a bad plan, but they have someone who can see the future. Something big, like being hit, the entire base being filled with water. Bet you any amount of credits you like, that person's going to see that in advance.
To a degree, I've planned for this, and please, once again, challenges, throw them my way. He says, like directing to everybody else because she, of course, challenged. The fact that she can see the future means the likelihood of her survival is very great. Because whereas she might be able to see something as grand as that, she might be able to see something in more finites, like her own death and how she can stop that. This is one of the reasons why we need to go inside in personal suits to encounter these people in person. I kind of like leave it at that. And then I look to the rest of them and say, so we can get the job done appropriately. But I don't fully understand how it is that people see the future, if you even believe in such ridiculous notions. I don't fully understand it. But there is margin of error, even in records or rumors that say that these things exist. And if there's margin of error, that means that they only understand that something's coming, what might be coming to a certain degree, and leaves other stuff out of their vision. What if our assault was not a single attack, throwing a large missile at them? What if it was multifaceted, 2 or 3 different strikes at the same time? The likelihood of this person being able to perceive it and the team being able to stop it happening will be far slimmer. Again, those will survive because there'll be a preparation to a degree, but they won't be able to avoid it altogether.
In that case, might actually having someone who can see the future might work against them. They figure the first hit is the danger over. So when they're not defending themselves against the second hit.
Exactly my point. Now, this is what I think is the best course of action. Multifaceted attack. Go inside the flooded chambers. Encounter everybody one-on-one. Or encounter everybody in person. Take it down to a ground fight, if you will. Gathering the equipment to be able to fight well in water, the suits and whatnot we need, I'm not concerned about that. If we don't have the credits on us, we can scrap up things to get the credits. We'll make that happen. But what I need is, and I point towards like the examples of bases nearby, how the fuck we're gonna break this thing. I'm gonna sit back down.
Everyone is a little... It's a big ask.
Well,
trying to figure it out.
If they're in an underwater structure, as you say, they're going to need an air recycling system just like a normal ship would. We hit that hard enough, ain't no way they're going to be surviving.
There'll be redundant systems for emergency scenarios.
It's also quite a long death.
Well, yeah, but so's drowning.
Less, he's from New Earth. He doesn't understand oxygen storage, does he?
But the important thing to note is that if we were to hit that in a way well enough to expose it to the outside, you have direct access to pretty much every room, and it becomes genuine plumbing.
Issue is how do you crack a base open like that? This ship doesn't have a torpedo launcher or anything of the sort. Could jury rig a system? Not
that part out. Let's talk about explosives first. Before we go to extreme ideas or the hopeful long-range options, let's talk about explosives. And I'll actually look to the Pike teams, because I think one of them actually does like explosives. I thought you had said that about the
Miriam does a lot of explosive things.
Yeah. Like, what amount of force would be required to take out the type of steel or other metals that they would use that support a structure like this?
You'd need a big boom, but more than that, just something well. These kind of things, especially an underwater structure, the places where if they fail, the whole thing will fail. Just like you're talking about destroying any support struts. A large number of smaller explosions would work, or just one big fuck off explosive. Honestly, if this wasn't an inhabited planet, a nuclear missile would be awfully useful.
Nuclear fallout underwater tends to stay rather contained. Unless this area is used for fishing and the like, it's not a bad idea to use a nuclear warhead.
If we could find a cleaner version, and they do exist, we could get hold of one.
Let's combine everything that we just said here. What if a bunch of small explosions down below, and then a big fuck-off explosion up by the air filtration system, which doesn't allow the air to filter water to come in or air to clean, but instead air to leave. We need to release the pressure that's keeping the water out in the first place.
It's actually Henrique who speak up and says, and actually points to Prov, and he does like the before he speaks, like, we saw you, Prov, use that big weapon of yours, I don't know what you want to call it, some sort of chain axe, to tear open an airlock on a ship. Maybe we don't need an explosive. That's some machines and buildings have anti-explosive protocols or scanners. A man with a big fuck-off industrial machine that can just tear this thing open, sure, there'll be redundant systems, but it might be able to be a little bit more sneaky if you want to do as many things as possible at once. And then you can just drop in afterward and then start hacking people up like a madman. No offense.
Well, I don't think that a felon axe would work underwater, so that one would need to be tweaked.
It's a good idea.
Well, what do I know? I'm from New Earth.
The two nod. Like, that's a valid point. Not the sarcasm that you meant it as.
Pushing forward with everything that we've said before, I actually turn to my nerd team, and I say, we all keep talking about redundant systems, backups, things that they have. What can we do to... Let me ask this first. The likelihood of those being mechanical versus automated.
Oh, that's when Mira was like, say, on a base like this, especially an underwater one, redundant systems you want to be mechanical. You want it to be things that flip. You want it to be completely almost as little digital or automated systems as possible, just so they do work. If imagine if we hacked into that base and hacked open the airlock, I mean, that wouldn't be possible to the large degree you wanted, because they're designed mechanically to be for redundancy.
Override, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a way to either circumvent that so they either couldn't use it mechanically, or much like leading rats in a maze, we can use that against them because they react in a way that we're kind of hoping to?
Especially if you're planning to flood the base, all those airlocks are going to go into lockdown. The whole base will go into lockdown mode instinctively because your danger all the alerts will go off. That could be perfect if we actually knew more about the base to, well, like rats in a maze. And then, manually, if we go in there in a group of underwater teams, they'd be easy enough to open up manually with tools, of course, not by hand.
I'm just wondering if we can do things like herd them in such a way that they're opening or closing hatches that benefit us. But this is going to be something that we have to plan, as you were saying, when we know more about the base. Yeah. And we can actually properly plan this out with a map, and leaving somebody back to coordinate. Let's worry about that afterwards. But mechanical, that's a bit of a thorn in the side and requires manipulation versus just sending a virus in there. I honestly don't think there's much more we can discuss of our plan beyond small holes versus large hole and something else to allow the air pressure out, hopefully fucking with their filtration so that at least they're not getting new stuff pumped in. Flooding it so that it crumbles in one way or another, depending on where it is, and then going in afterwards and killing everybody. That's where we stand. But all this requires a few missing points of data. I gestured towards the maps again. We don't actually know the layout or even its external structure. So we can try to figure out what layout would be most likely based upon it and those that worked on the job. We also don't know its location. Suggestions for where it is we're going to acquire these. And this one I point more towards the Pike people, but also, Prov seems like a shady motherfucker.
Anna will point out, because she's smarter than the.
She's also Pike.
Yeah, and she's also a shady person. So she's got all the things you need. Kind of based off something you said a little bit. It's like it was built. That's a huge thing. That means people built them.
Yeah. Someone's got records of it being built.
And it's not the largest planet with the largest amount of people on it, and not many people build underwater. And it's not going to be someone's first job, because they wouldn't hire someone whose first job. So it actually means... And it kind of like, I imagine there would be a couple like corporations on the screen for like the designs and things, and be like, probably one of these. Probably one that has an interest in keeping Pike going, or just an interest in money, which is most of these mega corporation shills. But
so funny. Out of game, I personally imagine a structure like what we're discussing here would be something that you would actually craft like in orbit, because then you can test like its air pressure systems. You can test everything in a vacuum environment, and then you can just drop it in. Now that's the hard part. How do you actually bring it through the atmosphere without it like burning up or whatever, and place it inside the water?
That would definitely be on all your notes, like especially like research stations, because there are a lot more planets than there are on the map. And there are some planets that are designed for, like, that are on the map for research. Like, research stations on an ocean planet would absolutely do that.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the ones you also have are built down there because for reasons.
And you make a really good point. Where do we start looking for that information? I was military. I don't know where. That's private sector. That's private sector right there.
Is it going to be Is it going to be available to the public? No.
No, of course it's not going to be available to the public. But the companies are. So you maybe find discrepancies, or we... And I kind of like rubs... like, Davis, you look at spreadsheets all the time. Mm-hmm. We get their public records and we find things that don't look right.
Okay, sure. We can find spikes in profits coming from different regions, trade deals that happen on the market, things like that. Sure. And the things like that are public record, but the actual private records of the finite details of the deals, the materials they use.
Well, we need that, just needs a little bit of thumb breaking once we know the right people to break.
And we're going to be parsing through literally tens of thousands of companies to find out which one was the best. Let's start with the big boys and work our way down.
Henrik kind of like puts his tablet down and says, I mean, if this is the main Excalibur base, then there's going to be people going and leaving as well.
Ollie. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You're done.
And that means that even though this is a planet of excess and wealth, if we could find them, I mean, there's probably some small hive of scum and villainy like you just went into somewhere, and follow them back as well could be a potential. Now, I would assume if we were dealing with a more intelligent group that wouldn't be very easy to do. But luckily, your average Excalibur member is a complete idiot.
How many cities are there on the surface of this ballista?
Oh, that's a DM punching question. There's a couple of big ones and then a lot of smaller. Like when it comes to big cities, every planet has its capital city, and then it would have a couple of smaller ones, and then a lot of small like private like,
Okay, so it does.
It has places. But yeah, of course, I get what you mean.
Is there social media?
Yeah, to a degree. Humans are humans.
Looking for tweets of people going, on my way to Excalibur base, lol.
Well,
no.
kind of group terrorist that Excalibur are is not entirely.
Not quite like that. That's a little too over the top. I say, you know what I was just thinking of? An extreme organization like Excalibur won't hire just any company to get the job done. Certainly a company that is capable of getting the job done, but not necessarily the most capable to get the job done. They're going to hire somebody that they trust, somebody whose ideologies align with their own. If we set up a bot or an algorithm, or have to spend the man hours ourselves searching through the social media accounts of some of the executives for these larger companies. We might be able to find messages that they say or tweets of messages. I couldn't think of something of messages that other people say that would show that they might be more aligned with their extremist views, and that would narrow our search from tens of thousands to probably hundreds. I mean, people are people, and your opinion doesn't necessarily mean that's how you run your business. But if I'm looking for somebody to do business with, I'm looking for somebody that's going to be my people.
I think that's a good plan, Captain.
Either
Sucks. Sucks having a country where you're like, oh, my president retweets things that, Nazis say.
Yeah.
Awesome. I wonder what his opinions are.
Now just imagine that, but in space.
Oh. All right.
I'm
Cool.
still
I
weirded
think-
out that you eat your pizza folded up. I knew it was a thing people did, but I'd never seen it.
Like, all right, it's a thing that you do when you're forced, right? Your pizza has like severe.
No, that's true. If there's a structural
integrity
integrity problem, then I totally understand.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard about the structural integrity of this pizza.
Here's the issue.
Oh
No,
no,
that's
yeah,
fine. That's a-okay.
that's okay. But he would have to use two
You've
hands.
got to burn your fingertips.
And who
to
knows-
support it like a man.
Who knows what the other hand's doing? We're not seeing that.
please, someone clip that. Just Scott.
That's an emote right there. Waiting.
Oh god. Oh god, I'm just imagining.
What's
it.
on that pizza? I know this is a complete Wednesday stream tangent, but
Yeah.
broccoli?
Is that fucking broccoli?
Scott likes
The
broccoli
hell,
pizzas.
dude?
I think I've discussed this with him before.
So I like broccoli roasted in the oven. Is it the same? Similar.
It's broccoli and hamburger. Like I said, Doxy bought me lunch, so she got me what she wanted to get me, and I said, "Thank you, love you."
Yeah, when you're getting given a pizza, you take those toppings no matter what.
I won't lie. I don't think I've ever ordered broccoli and a hamburger together on a red pizza, but it's actually really good.
It actually sounds like an okay combo.
Like I've never ordered from this place before, and I'm sitting here going, "Why have I never ordered from this place before? Like this is not a combo I would ever choose, and I'm enjoying it more than I expected."
So maybe that's why you're enjoying it so much.
Because it's a pleasant surprise and it's free,
Oh,
which does make it taste better.
So
Free
you
food is
mentioned
better.
red pizza.
White pizza exists.
So pizza is generally red tomato sauce. That is default.
Yeah.
I emphasize red pizza in case somebody is curious.
Because
You know what I
white
mean?
pizza also.
Like I
exists.
wouldn't say what red pizza in a normal conversation.
Yeah. What is white pizza?
I can't remember what the white sauce is made of.
Is it just like cheese sauce?
It's a cheese sauce, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
but it's a more
I thought-
cheesy sauce than like.
It's not Alfredo, it's a
Yeah.
cheese sauce, right? It's like that horrible stuff that my best friend makes when he comes over for Thanksgiving. Like that is way too viscous for me to want to put on. He's like, "No, it's for your mashed potatoes," and I'm like, "No."
That I actually totally get it now. I've never had a white pizza, but that sounds perfectly
Huh.
apt.
Thick, creamy, goopy.
Got me a clip. To
Hopefully single. All right. I don't remember where we left off. Well, my internet crashed for a second there.
I can tell you. Basically, we decided to trawl through social media.
Oh yes, yeah. Basically, the social media plan, and that kind of adds
We're gonna
on
look
top of.
through these big companies.
You do both those things at once. You're gonna just get the odds in such a way they'll be easy enough to find. Yes, good.
Awesome.
I think unless
lives
there's
suck, more or
anything-
less.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot of administer checks because you don't have a hacker. I don't think there's anything else you need to discuss immediately. Vodu, let me know if you come up with any ideas because you're gonna be traveling for a bit. So
I think the prov needs to talk to the captain about some racism on board. Speak to HR, get them spaced.
it's not racism, it's nationalism or whatever.
It's good enough.
I missed whatever said that led to this. Let's just,
It's actually religious
it's a more
persecution.
important conversation.
Yeah, religious persecution. That's good enough.
I think it's more stupidism. They're
Yeah,
discriminating.
that's what it actually is. They're just making fun of you for not living in space your entire life.
Wow.
They lived in space their entire lives.
So all we're doing is we're crapping on somebody of a lower socioeconomic standing. So we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're like, you're a poor person. Doesn't that suck? Man.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that hurts, but I'm technically not a protected class, so there's nothing I can do about it. You know?
Wow.
So,
Well, I'll tell you what I am protected by. A lean, mean chopping machine.
I was about to say a bloody great axe.
So,
Don't blame me when the twins turn up.
Scott, do you have
Don't
any
turn
other
out.
better anything else you want to discuss in this team meeting before you?
I don't know. I
So-
honestly, unless anybody else has anything to bring in, because like I led the meeting because I'm the captain, but like unless there's anything else, because I thought that was a logical path. You guys seem
yeah.
to go along with it. Is
I
there anything
think
else?
the
Is that
only
on
thing
Chatter?
we haven't covered is transport to the location.
Anna's already mentioned that a bit earlier, and something that once we know the scope and once we know the structure of this structure. Once we know that once we know its basic understanding of its structure and its location, then we can start worrying about how it is we're going to get to and from.
All right, good. So, with that meeting adjourned, very short after the meeting, Anna types in the entire punch system. You strap yourselves down, and you start hurtling off through metaspace. And this is where we're going to take a quick break, where Scott eats pizza however he wants. We won't get to judge him for a few minutes.
Oh no, we will judge him. It just won't on
Judge.
stream.
Yeah, you can judge. You're wrong because
Oh.
Google eating pizza in New York, and New York is the
Yeah, but you're not in New York.
capital of pizza.
Italy is the capital
what?
of pizza.
No,
Yeah.
Italy, the capital of pizza. Their pizza's like okay. It's okay.
I knew you'd have this opinion.
I'm
Now,
hurt by this.
Sicilian pizza, which is like technically Italian pizza, because Sicily is like part of Italy, but they don't like to
Is
identify
it? Really?
themselves that way. Well, people, like I know people. Again, we were talking about like the tribalism in the United States. They don't go, "I'm Italian." They say, "I'm Sicilian." They go, "No, I'm not Italian. I'm Sicilian."
We're gonna go on
Oh.
break.
Like, okay, that's
To be fair,